Hello everyone. Today in our tutorial we will be solving questions and discussing the key distribution task. Now the first question. Consider the following protocol designed to let A and B decide on a fresh shared session key K-AB. We assume that they already share a long-term key K-AB. So the protocol works as follows. A sends to B its ID or its public key A and a nonce NA. Then B replies to A with NA and K-AB, which is the session key, encrypted with the long-term key KAB. Then A replies back with the nonce here, encrypted with K-AB, which is the session key between A and B. Now, we try to understand the protocol designer's reasoning. Why would A and B believe after the protocol ran that they share K-AB with the other party? Why would they believe that this shared key is fresh, meaning that it was not an old session key? In both cases, you should explain both the reasons of both A and B so that the answer should complete the sentences as follows. A believes that she shares K-AB with B since B believes that he shares K-AB with A since A believes that K-AB is fresh since, and B believes that K-AB is fresh since. So let's try to reason each one of these sentences. So the first one, A believes that she shares K-AB with B since what? We can say because she can believe so because when B replied with the session key, it was encrypted with the nonce NA that she sent in the first step in this protocol. So basically, she can be sure that this is a fresh and this is a fresh session key, and this is the session key that is related to the session that she shares with B. Okay, B believes that he shares K-AB. Why so? So let's think about it. B can believe that he shares K-AB with A since NA was encrypted with the K-AB, which is the session key, which could only be retrieved from the message sent by him, as he believes it is known only by him as B, and as Alice, of course. So he believes that he shares it with A, since he is the one who created the key, and he sent it to B with the shared session key. Now, for the third sentence, A believes that K-AB is fresh since. So let's think about it. Now, why would A believe that it is fresh? A can believe that it is fresh since it is included in the message sent by B in the second step with the nonce NA, which means that in the message 2, the message in step 2 has been created after message 1 was sent, since it includes the nonce NA that was sent in the first message. As for B, in the last sentence, B believes that K-AB is fresh since since he chose it himself and he sent it himself to A. He is the one who created in the second step the K-AB. So no one can be more sure than him that it is a fresh session key. Now, for part B, question 1, assume now that the A starts a run of this protocol with B. However, the connection is intercepted by an adversary C. Show how can C start a new run of the protocol using reflection, causing A to believe that she agreed on a fresh key with B, in spite of the fact that she has only been communicating with C. Thus, in particular, the belief in A is false. Okay, so what we want to do now, we want to know a case where an adversary, C, can impersonate B in the communication between A and B. Try to think about it, try to pause the video, think about it, and come back. I will start solving it now. So, one way to do it would be as follows. I will just recap on the protocol and how it works, then we go back to the solution. So, the protocol works as follows. A starts a session, or A starts a communication using the protocol with B by sending its ID and a nonce. We call it NA. Then B replies back to A with this nonce along with the session key, all encrypted with the shared key between both of them, which is KAB. Then A replies back to B with the nonce encrypted with the nonce encrypted with the session key that B sent to A. Now, how can we impersonate B in this case? One way to do it would be as follows. A, as Alice, will send, will do the first part of the protocol that we know here, which is sending a nonce NA and its ID A. What we will do in this case as C is as follows. We will impersonate B and we will try to start another session in the same time that Alice is trying to initiate a session with B. So I will send as C, being C, and I will impersonate B. I will send B's ID and NA, which is by coincidence the same nonce that Alice was using to initiate the connection with A. In this case, Alice will answer back with the nonce along with a certain session key, all encrypted using the long-term key that A and B both share. In this case, me as an adversary, I will not be able to read this message, but actually I will be able to replay it to A, impersonating B here. So basically, this will impersonate the second step in the protocol between A and B, and I will be able to do it although I don't have the shared key between them, the long-term shared key, just because I was able to replay the message that was sent by Alice. And in this case, Alice will normally reply back with the nonce encrypted with the session key K-AB. Put in mind that me as adversary, as C, I will not be able to read the message or the nonce, but I will be able to impersonate impersonate B in making a successful run throughout this protocol. So let's go to the third part in the question. Propose a modification of the protocol that prevents this attack. So let's think about it. Let's go back to this diagram and think about it. How can what can we do, or what can we change here so that we stop this, to stop a replay attack from happening in this part? One way to do it is that we can maybe add the ID of the sender and the ID of the receiver as follows. Maybe we can change this when Alice wants to send this to A. Maybe Alice should send it like that. A, encryption of the message using KAB, but the message would be A, which is the sender, and B, which is the receiver, and the rest, which is the nonce and the session key. And when on the other side B wants to send this message to A, the real B, he should be doing so: E, K, A, B, and he is the receiver, he is the sender, sorry, so it will be the first part, and then A as the receiver, and the rest. Using such modification will stop an adversary to do the attack that we did in part B. So he will not be able to replay the message that was sent by A back to her impersonating B. Now the second question. Consider Outways authentication and key exchange protocol shown below. A sends to B nonce and C along with A, B, and then NA, the same nonce here, the NA and the same nonce and C, A, B, all encrypted using a key AS. Then B sends to the server. The server here acts as a key distribution center, a KDC. So B sends to the KDC server the nonce and C, A, B, and then NA, the nonce A and C, A and B, the IDs, all encrypted using a key KAS. KAS here denotes a certain key that is only shared between A and the server. Then this message is, still have something else here. It also contains a nonce NB and NC, A and B, the IDs, all encrypted using KBC, which means this key denotes a key that is shared between B and the server. What happens next is that the server replies back to B with a message that contains the nonce NC and NAKAB encrypted using the key AS that is shared between B and the server. Then NB and KAB encrypted using the key BS that is shared between B and the server. Then B sends to A the nonce NC along with NA and KAB encrypted with the key AS. So let's break this down, try to understand what happened here. So we know here that A and B are clients wishing to communicate with each other, and they want to establish a secure connection with a session key, and they are using the KDC's help in order to do that. So let's think about it. What happens here? The first thing, A will send to B an NC, a nonce C. We can think of it as a session key, or something that makes sure that the replies, the messages that are being interchanged between the parties are relevant to the same communication session. And it sends its ID as A, and the one who it wants to communicate to, which is Bob, and then sends nonce A and nonce C of the session, and along with the IDs encrypted with its key between itself and the server. So in this case, B will not be able to read the encrypted part of the message. That's why the A, B, and the nonce are sent encrypted and unencrypted. So the part NCAB will be able to be seen by B, but the other part will only be seen or decrypted by the server. So B sends to the server the nonce, the same nonce that received by A, along with the IDs of him and A, sorry. And it sends the same part that was received by A which is the nonce A, NC, A, and B, along with another encryption part that was done by B itself, which contains the nonce, a nonce that B created, NB, and the NC that stands for the session, and the IDs A and B. After B does this, the server replies back with the same nonce NC and a part that is encrypted with the key AS that B cannot decrypt. This part contains the session key and the nonce that A sent. Note that this part cannot be seen or cannot be decrypted by B. That is sent along with the session key and the nonce of B encrypted using the key between B and the server. So B will be able to retrieve this. Why does this happen? Because the server assumes that B will take its own session key from the second part, and it will send back the first part to A, so it can so A can know that this part was forwarded by B from the server, containing the session key that will establish the communication between both parties. So that's exactly what happened at the last part, where B sent to A the nonce NC, and along with it, the first part of the message received from the server containing the session key and the nonce A sent earlier. So, what is the purpose of NC? As we said while we were discussing, NC here is important to make sure that all the messages that are being communicated currently between the server and A and B are for the same session protocol. So this part can help in several things. The most important thing is that it ensures authentication between A and the server through although B is the one communicating the message to the server, and also the nonce inside it, the nonce NC and NA, they both prevents replay attacks. So actually all the parties A, B, and S will always be sure that the messages are relevant to the session X with the session ID NC, and A and B will be able to make sure that the messages being sent to them are not replayed. That's due to the nonce A and nonce B. So why does the KDC send to B the following? NA, nonce A, along with the session key KAB, all encrypted with key AS, which is the key shared between A and the server. And NB and KAB, which are encrypted using the key BS, which is shared between the server and B in the third message. So, as we discussed, this message is formulated in the following way because the server assumes that B will forward back the first part that is encrypted with the shared key between the server and A to A, and will take its own session key from the second part, which is encrypted with the key BS. So for part D, does this protocol achieve mutual authentication? Authenticates A to B and B to A. Now, let's see how can A ensure that he is communicating. Alice is ensure that she is communicating with Bob, and Bob is communicating with Alice. Now, what tells Bob that Alice is the one communicating with him? So, actually there is something that tells Bob that it's this part in the first message, because this part is encrypted using the key between Alice and the server. So no one but Alice should be able to formulate this part of the message. Okay, What about the communication between B to A? Well, from the second message, we can think that actually yes, Bob should be the only one able to do so, since he encrypted this message or this part of the message with his shared key between him and the server. But Alice cannot see this part. Alice only sees the last message here. Which in this case, it does not ensure that B is the sender. As you can see, this message contains the nonce C, which everyone can see, along with and the nonce A and the session key AB encrypted with the key between Alice and the server. So this part can actually be replayed easily. So basically, Alice cannot ensure that Bob is the sender because it's not encrypted using any key that is related to Bob. Now, for the last part here, the protocol is vulnerable to an attack where a malicious intruder can arrange for A and B to end up with different keys. Explain how this attack can be executed. Well, let's think about it. One way to do it would be as follows. After A and B execute the first 3 messages, B has received the key AB. So at the third message, the server sends the message that contains the session key to B. The intruder can then intercept the fourth message, preventing it from being received by Alice. Then he resends message 2, which results in S generating a new key, K-AB. So basically, the intruder can resend or replay the second message to the server, asking the server to create a new session key. And then send it to subsequently, actually, the server will send this session key, of course, to B. We as interceptors, or me as the interceptor, I can intercept this message and take it and prevent it from being received by B, and I can send it. Send the second part, the first part, which is relevant to A, back to A. So now A will actually have its session key that is actually generated by the server, but it will be a different session key than the one with Bob. Now, with the third question. So, here, consider the following authentication protocol used by banks for credit cards at ATM machines. Each credit card comes ready with the following information stored on the card. User data that is digitally signed using the private key of the bank, which is KB, inverse KB. The data is concatenated with the hash of this data, encrypted with the session key, the private key. A symmetric key, KCB, is shared with the bank. To authenticate a client, SCL, the bank B, the credit card C, and the terminal T execute the following protocol. The terminal T reads the credit card C. So C sends to the terminal the data part. The terminal T asks for the code, as follows here. Then the client types in to the card the code. Then the card authenticates and sends to the terminal the authorization. Then the terminal asks for authorization from the bank. The bank replies back with an authorization key. The terminal sends this key to the card replies back with this same key encrypted with the shared key KCB here, the symmetric key. Then the terminal sends or passes this message to the bank, and the bank authenticates the message. So identify the vulnerabilities of this protocol and how to address them. So there are actually two main vulnerabilities here. The first one is this message. There is no nonce here or timestamp, so it can easily be replayed. So message 8 basically is vulnerable to a replay attack. The other thing is there is no challenge response, or there is no challenge response required by the bank or the terminal from the card. So this is another vulnerability. Now with question 4. So this is a narrative question between Detective Lestrade and Holmes. We are under great pressure, Holmes. Detective Lestrade looked nervous. We have learned that copies of sensitive government documents are stored in computers of one foreign embassy here in London. Normally, these documents exist in electronic form only on a selected few government computers that satisfy the most stringent security requirements. However, sometimes they must be sent through the network connecting all government computers. But all messages in this network are encrypted using a top-secret encryption algorithm certified by our best crypto experts. Even the NSA and the KGB are unable to break it. And now these documents have appeared in the hands of diplomats of a small, otherwise insignificant country. And we have no idea how it could happen. But do you have a suspicion who did it? Do you? Asked Holmes. Yes, we did some routine investigation. There is a man who has legal access to one of the government computers and has frequent contacts with diplomats from the embassy. But the computer he has access to is not one of the trusted ones where these documents are normally stored. He is the suspect, but we have no idea how he could obtain copies from the documents. Even if he could obtain a copy of an encrypted document, he couldn't decrypt it. Please describe the communication protocol used on the network. Holmes opened his eyes, thus proving that he had followed Lestrade's talk with an attention that contrasted with his sleepy look. Well, the protocol is as follows. Each node N of the network has been assigned a unique secret key Kn. This key is used to secure communication between the node and the trusted server. That is, all the keys are stored on the server. User A wishing to send a secret message M to a user B initiates the following protocol. A generates a random number R and sends it to the server. Sends to the server his name A, destination B, and the R encrypted with his key Ka. The server responds by sending the random number encrypted with the key KB to A. A sends the message M encrypted with the random key together with the random number encrypted with the KB of the recipient to B. B knows KB, of course, because it's his key, thus decrypts R, which is the random key, and that will subsequently use R to decrypt the message M. You see that a random key is generated every time a message has to be sent. I admit the man could intercept the messages sent between the top secret trusted nodes, but I see no way he could decrypt them. Well, I think you have your man, Lestrade. the protocol isn't secure because the server doesn't authenticate who sent him a request. Apparently, designers of the protocol believe that sending the message R encrypted with a key X of sender implicitly authenticates user X as the sender, as only X and the server knows the key X. But you know that a message R encrypted with key X can be intercepted and later replayed. Once you understand where the hole is, you will be able to obtain enough evidence by monitoring the man's use of the computer he has access to. Most likely, he works as follows. After intercepting the message R that is encrypted with key A and the message M encrypted with R, the steps 1 and 3 of the protocol, the man, let's denote him as Z, will continue by pretending to be A. And what we need to do now, we have to finish the sentence for Holmes. So, let's think what Holmes would have said in such problem. Now, let's check the steps 1 and 3 that he talked about. Well, the first step, which includes the random number that was generated by A and encrypted by the key A. How can we use this along with the message? Or basically, how can we use this to get out R and use it to decrypt the message intercepted that was encrypted using the key R? Well, one way to do it is to impersonate R. I have to make something clear. This is an inside attack. This attack will only be possible because the person is already having authorization to the network. So, Z can do as follows. He will send A's name from the first part here. He will send his A's name to the server along with the message here that he intercepted, but he will change the destination. Instead of it being B, the destination will be Z. So then the server will respond back to A, and this message will be intercepted by Z. The message that will be sent back to A will be the random number R that was replayed here, encrypted with the key of the recipient here, the destination key, which will be KZ. In this case, the Z as the intruder will be able to decrypt R using his own key easily, symmetric key that is shared between him and the central server. So basically, he will use R that he decrypted using his own key to decrypt the message M here. Now, for the fifth question, find at least one intermediate certification authority's certificate and one trusted root certification authority's certificate on your computer. Print screenshots of both general and detailed stabs of each certificate. Well, to understand this part, we have to know some few things. Well, we have to know what is a root certificate and what is an intermediate certificate. So what we actually know and what we see from this whole certification process in our real life, we see and we know SSL certificates, the one that we use to certify our websites and secure our websites. So how are these certificates signed? They are usually signed by some certificate provider or whatever, some basically a certificate authority organization. So how does this certificate or authority does the process? Basically, this authority has its own certificate that we call the root certificate. Usually, a root certificate is having a very long expiry date. I will show you some examples of them, and you will see it yourself. As for the intermediate certificates, so what are the intermediate certificates? These are certificates with much shorter expiry date that are also created by the certification authority, and they are used to they are the ones that are usually used to certify the SSL certificates for the clients or the website and so on. So the root certificate is not mainly used to certify SSL certificates because it's way too risky for the certification authority. So instead of taking this risk, they create several intermediate root certificates and they use them to sign the SSL certificates. So what are these root certificates and how do we get them? Well, usually the root certificates are usually stored inside the operating system, either on Windows or Mac or even on iOS and Android. So these root certificates are stored in the operating system itself. And the intermediate root certificates are not necessarily stored on your computer, but if you were able, if you had the chance, or you are in a situation where your computer needs to validate an intermediate root certificate, it will be able to validate it because it's having the root certificate itself. As for the SSL certificate, usually it is certified or it's signed using the intermediate root certificate. Let's see something. These are the root certificate on my computer actually. As you can see here, there are a lot of them. And if you check the expiry date, some of them expire this year and others expire at 2030 or even 2039, 2040. So they can have a very long duration to be used before they get expired. So let's try and see and check an SSL certificate for a certain website and see which intermediate root certificate and which root certificate was used to validate this SSL certificate. Let's check Google, for example. We can go to the inspector and we go to the security tab and we click on view certificate. So this intermediate certificate is certified and or signed by a global or by a root certificate authority called Global Sign. So let's see if this root certificate is already on my OS, on my computer. Let's go and check here, Global Sign. Actually, there are four Global Sign different certificates. Let's go back and check the details of each of these certificates. So this is called, the organization unit is R2, maybe there are R1 to R4. And let's try to check the expiry date here. This one expires 2021. What about the intermediate? It expires actually also 2021. And for the SSL certificate of the Google, the website, it expires June 16, 2020. And you can check all the details for each certificate. For example, one of the details that are included in this certificate is all the DNS names that are linked to it. As you can see, these are all the DNS names that are related to Google. So this is it. I hope you got everything. If you have any questions related to anything that you did not understand in the tutorial, you can send me your questions on email or via Piazza or the new chat application made by the GOC. Thank you so much. See you next week.